Good evening. Today is June 18, 2020, and we are having a special teleconference to take care of some of the other items that were on the agenda for the spring meeting. The way we do this, we go around for each meeting, for each item, and we discuss them. If there is a motion on the floor, then we discuss and vote accordingly. Present today are Denise, Gina, Jan, Jean, Judy, Rachel, Rick, Warren, myself, Liz Busquets, and Carla. So the first item of the agenda is something that gets done every year at the spring meeting, and that's revisiting the norms. I'm sure that everybody has looked at them. To me, the way to take care of this is by always being professional. And so if we are professionals, then the norms kind of take care of themselves. But that's just me. So I'm going to go around real quick. And so, Denise.
Well, I think the norms are a great idea to just revisit and look at it to make sure we're on track. And I would certainly vote to agree with the norms. We are professional. This board has been very good, I believe, in maintaining professionalism, and I look forward to more meetings, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Gina?
Yes, I agree with the norms too. It's very good. I would like to say, as being a new member on the board, that there is not a person on this board that doesn't make decisions for the entire ASCA membership. I am so impressed how everybody works together. We can have difference of opinions and we listen to each other, and every single person, every single board member votes for what they feel is best for the entire membership. I mean, I am just pleased. I'm happy to be working with everyone on this board, so thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Jan?
I agree with the norms, and I think we operate by them, and everything Gina said, you said it perfectly. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Jean?
I agree with Gina and Jan, so thank you.
All right. Judy?
Ditto. Thank you.
That was sweet and short. Rachel?
Yes, I do support the norms, and I agree 100% with what Gina said. Thank you.
Okay, Rick?
Yes, I also agree. I think the norms is a great deal to bring up every spring meeting, especially for our new board members, so they kind of get an idea of how we operate and kind of what the ASCA board expects. So I agree with what everybody said.
Thank you, Rick. Warren?
Yeah, so I'm new, but you know, in looking at the norms, I think that is what people practice in general. It's been really, for me, very easy to come in. I don't know a lot of the people, but I do feel the tone and the tenor of the discussion has always been productive. So I like the idea of the norms, and it seems like we're practicing them, and I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Yes, I also think that we have been very good at practicing the norms and always acting on behalf of the organization and the membership. I mean, many of us have had to, discuss difficult situations this year, and the board has always, whether we agree or not on certain items, we have always been very good about being responsible and being, professional in our discussions. So thank you to everybody on the board for that. Any other comments before I leave this item? Okay, so The next item on the agenda is the strategic plan, and I believe that goes to Rachel.
Yes, ma'am. And the financials on there, as well as the registration numbers, came directly from Ray this week, guys. The only committee who provided an update for us was agility and dock jumping. And so this has been a tough year for everyone, though. It's been a tough year for the committees. And we also, you know, y'all remember we've placed a moratorium on changes within committee rules, so that might have slowed down what may have been the normal committee work. So I'm going to bypass most of the committees and allow them to give us something next year for the next year's strategic plan. Does anyone have any questions about what we have provided?
Hey, Rachel, the Raleigh committee did submit some ideas for the strategic plan. It came in late today, but they did.
Yeah,
it
was too late. Right, I'd already sent it to Calla by that point in time, Rick. And we can go back and add that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for the reminder. And I'm not sure at this point if the board wants to approve the strategic plan as it has been presented, because like I said, this has been a tough year. I think we actually need to treat everyone with a little bit of grace. And maybe we might have some committees that come in maybe in the next week or so that can formulate their goals and what they would like to do in the coming show year. So I really, in terms of the financials and the registration, that's correct. But we still, I believe, may get more information from committees. So if the board would allow it, I think that we could just hold a strategic plan and to determine if we're going to get more input from committees. What do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with that. This is Gina.
Okay, is there anybody who wouldn't agree to wait a little bit? We can perhaps add it to the teleconference meeting in July, and maybe by then we'll have more input.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll follow up again with liaisons. I know I did back in February, but like I said, this has been the year that wasn't. Okay, so, and then I followed up again. So I'll follow up again with liaisons, and maybe committees can give us some late breaking information. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rachel. And so the next item is appointment of the next board liaison to the system. And so we usually do this later in the year, but like Rachel said, this year has been completely different. So we're doing this different too. So Rachel?
Yes, ma'am. And because I'm going off the board in October, normally at the Nationals meeting, I'm going off. And actually the board members, 2 board members that ran for the board again this year, and most likely will be elected, I hope, will be coming back on. And typically it's the new board that seats the system liaison. But I have a lot of information. I have files of information that I would like to hand off and transition to someone now. And I've spoken to Warren Evans regarding taking this position. And Warren as treasurer would be the absolute best candidate for it, because as we go forward and if we choose to start updating the system again, Warren is in a position as the treasurer to actually watch for the money, the cash flow that might be going out to the vendor. And we had discussed this before, and I'll say it again. If we if and when we start a system upgrade, we will, going forward, make an agreement with the vendor on projects to do like a 60-40 split, in that we will not pay them fully until that portion of the system has been completed, tested, and verified by the business office. And I think that Warren would be excellent in this role. So therefore, I am going to nominate Warren Evans to take over as system liaison, and I will transition, if the board agrees with it, from now until nationals with Warren.
I'll second that. This is Jan.
So one thing,
Okay,
this is
so-
Calla, I just want to be clear that this is the board liaison to the system liaison. Allison Bryant is the current system liaison.
Right, exactly. This is the board system liaison, correct.
Okay, so what we have is a motion by Rachel to approve to have Warren Evans as our system liaison, board liaison to the system liaison, and it's
the
seconded by
board
Gina.
system liaison.
Okay, board system liaison to the system liaison. Is that right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
shouldn't we ask
And I believe it was
Warren if
seconded
he's
by Jane.
interested?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
okay, so we have that motion on the floor that has been seconded by Gina, but
Jan.
first
By Jan.
Oh, it was by Jan. Okay. And so I guess the question before we go forward is whether Warren is okay with that.
Hey, I think that's an excellent question. This is Warren. As Rachel said, we spoke, and I would say I am very conscientious of the magnitude and the amount of effort involved. You know, and I think I have to be really, really careful. As Jan pointed out, you know, when she was treasurer, she had put together all the budgets. I didn't have time to do all that. So this means, and I do think everybody will agree, the system is very, very important. So there will be other things that I won't be able to do. And that's just, you know, a fact of time. But I do have some experience with software projects. I led a small software company. I do think Rachel's spot on that having the, you know, whatever it is, 4-month overlap, or 3 months, I guess it is now, but that's a huge opportunity that no one else will have. And with her guidance and with the support of the board, I think I'm ready to take on this challenge.
All right. Well, that being said, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
This is Warren. I'll abstain.
Okay, Warren has abstained. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Warren, for accepting.
Thank you for your confidence.
Okay, going on to the next item, we have a recommendation to allow additional alternates for 2020 rally finals. And for that, Rick, you're up.
Okay. The rally committee, to try to offset some of the expenses that we likely will have with finals participants because of the COVID-19, the rally committee has passed a motion to allow 10 more alternates should they need them. Previously, alternates were 21 through 30. They have agreed for this year only. I want to make that clear. This is for a 1 year only. They have agreed and passed a motion to have alternates from 21st place through 40th place should we need those extra dogs to fill finals spots. So I move to carry the rally motion as presented.
This is Gina. I'll second it.
Yeah, I don't think we need a second for that one, right? Because it's an
No, you're good with just Rick. It's a committee
yeah,
recommendation.
it's a committee recommendation.
Okay.
Thank you, Gina. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have motion on the floor. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. This
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
Judy. Why are we doing this one here, but yet we're doing the stock dog ones on our regular
Judy.
voting schedule?
Yeah, Judy, I can answer that, and thank you for your question. The stock dog actually was able to get theirs in before the 10th to go on our regular voting cycle through email. The rally committee was not, so I wanted to have that presented tonight because it was already too late to get it on our normal voting cycle.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Rick or any comments, any discussion? All right, then I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, so the next item is the loan. So I guess everybody, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, we have finally gotten the paperwork that tells us all the terms. And so now we have to make a decision as to whether we're going forward with it or not. And this is the SBA loan under the government's COVID-19 Economic Act. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna start with Warren because he's our treasurer. So Warren.
Yes, thank you. So it was a little bit late in the day, but I was able to do a little analysis on what would happen if we had additional money, and understanding that this money can only be used for certain purposes, but because of that, I think it's reasonable to assume that it would free up other money for other purposes. The analysis showed that it's definitely in our benefit. The best thing we can do at 2.75 is to borrow as much as we can for as long as we can. That's exactly what we said last time. That's what the numbers say. But the question of there's collateral involved and the impact of that. So the next two scenarios kind of look at that, and because collateral's involved, should we try to build a building, we may need to repay this loan at that time and take out a new loan or use our funds. And so I did a second scenario that says we'll just take this for 3 years, then we'll pay it back. Still to our benefit to do that because as far as I can tell, there's no the closing costs are insignificant. There's no prepayment penalties. If that's truly the case, then it's definitely to our benefit, but the benefit is very much smaller. I also looked at in the collateral, it is clear if we get a smaller loan, 25K or less, we don't have to give collateral. And I wanted to run the numbers on that, and it's interesting that in terms of a financial benefit to the club, the 25K for 30 years is almost exactly the same financial benefit as taking the loan out now and then 3 years from now refinancing, because we don't want to be under SBA's all collateralized situation. So because of that, and because I just fundamentally, the collateral makes things more difficult in all your dealings. Even though the numbers say the best thing to do is to go 30 years at the full 150, I'm recommending that we either do nothing or take out the smaller 25K loan for 30 years.
Just a pause on a comment on that before we go forward, Warren. I have no idea if we can change it.
Yeah, I know, Liz, and I thought about that. So I'm making the assumption that there is a go back button, but after looking at your screens, you're like,
It doesn't
look
have
like
a go back.
there's
But
not a lot of
It's
flexibility.
either
So
sign on the dotted line or forget it.
yeah. So I don't know if it's even worth pursuing it. You can look at I don't know if you saw the numbers, the net benefit, if we pay it off in 3 years or if we go for the smaller loan, it's $7,500, which is great. If we can make a $7,500 decision tonight, I'm in favor of that. But if we bind the club with collateral and if we find it's hard to get out of the loan, I don't think it's worth $7,500.
Okay. So I guess the question that I would have for you, Warren, is whether you think we can make it this coming year without the loan.
Yes, absolutely. I have no doubt between our cash, our savings, and I have no intention to liquidate investments, but should we have to, we are more than covered for the rest of the year. Even assuming just the most modest of show income. The registry income is still reasonably substantial. The sort of the worst case scenario that I built up with Sarah, before she left when we were deep in COVID, the cost was $30K a month. If you run that out for a year, and it's already June, so we should run it out for a half year, that's only $180. We can manage that, not good, but we don't need a loan to get through in terms of cash on hand.
Okay.
Can I ask a question to Warren?
Yes, go ahead, Gina.
This is Gina. So I realize you looked through the end of this year, but have we thought about if this whole COVID thing comes back and the economy crashes? What about like the first part of next year? Are we going to be in big trouble if we use everything to get through the rest of this year?
Yeah, great question, Gina. So when I said we're comfortable to get through this year, I didn't mean that our balances would go to zero. I think we essentially use about half of our balances, meaning if COVID remains as bad as it was in the worst month ever, May, if it stays that way for the rest of this year, we will only have burned through half of our cash reserves. So it has to stay as bad as it's been, which I think it's actually less, and then it has to stay that way, for the whole. So, and all of that is only half. So, no guarantees, Gina. It's a great question. What's going to happen next year? What's going to happen this fall? We don't know, but I don't believe that we're putting the club at risk by not taking the loan. Yeah, that's just the way it's coming out, the way I look at it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and so another question, Warren, sorry. That is accounting for the money saving measures that we have taken so far, which
that's correct.
Yes, but then we wouldn't
actually no, it's not, because Liz, at the time that we did that, both the salaries and the Aussie Times, those are two big dollar impacts that we reduced, and neither of those had hit the financials at the time we were estimating the $30K a month.
Okay.
So in fact, if we were on an accrual basis, we'd probably be less, and unfortunately not substantially less, because the Aussie Times, I don't know what the total is, but it wasn't 30K. I think the printing fees are more like 10.
I think that between the printing and the postage minus the ads, it comes to well, depending on the size of the Aussie Times, it can be anywhere from 17 to 20.
Yeah. So
okay.
So yeah, in a way, since we've taken those steps, we may be in a little bit better position. At the same time, Liz, that didn't take into account, I didn't quite understand how they're doing it clerically in the office, but refunds, I think there were clubs that were getting refunds at the onset of COVID, right. And the way it worked was instead of money going back, they were sort of being put on a chit for a future. And,
yeah, like a credit.
Yeah, like a credit, but I'm not sure the credit hit the books.
Okay.
So I just don't know. But yeah, bottom line, this is rough numbers. But I think Gina's question is perfect. If we say we can make it through the end of the year, how close are we? And I'm saying we can make it through the end of the year, and we won't even use half of our assets. So I'm saying not very close. I think if we're here in going into the I don't know what it's like down where you guys are, but going into November and December, there's no revenue that we would expect up here. And if we're in the same position, we're going to have to talk about more measures than Aussie Times and go into 60% payroll for 2 weeks. And we'll have to hit that at that time.
But you're talking at the end of the year?
Yeah. I don't. I mean.
So we don't foresee having to like make decisions about Aussie Times or anything like that in the next, 1 or 2 issues.
I don't think so. I mean, I really do believe I believe we made the statement that we were going to hold the printed version of Aussie Times. We were in a situation that was completely unknown. It was rapidly evolving, and it was severe. And at this point, we know a little more. It's still unknown the future, but it's not evolving the same way. And we're more certain of the total impact to our financial future. And by more certain, I don't mean we have the answer, but I think we don't have quite so much of just a complete blank to look at.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Warren. Does anybody, I'm sorry, I have kind of monopolized the questions for Warren. Anybody has any other questions for Warren before we go forward? I'm just going to keep going around. Okay, so Rick?
I really don't have any other questions. I'm going to kind of follow Warren's recommendation. Since I've been on the board, and this is not to diss any former treasurers, but Warren has the financial knowledge that we've been lacking for a long time. And I just want to say thank you, Warren, because he gives us some in-depth knowledge that I feel we haven't had in the past. And I think he's really going to be a benefit to ASCA. So once again, thanks for your work, Warren. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Rachel?
Yes, ma'am. I'd sent a group of questions to the board, my concerns over taking this loan, and I just really don't feel comfortable knowing that we would have to give up all of ASCA's collateral. And with Warren's excellent financial skills and being able to post this information to us, I just believe that we can make it without taking a loan from SBA at all. And I think that Warren is correct. We'll probably need to revisit this decision to determine how to go forward if indeed COVID strikes this fall and things go badly. So I'm not for this loan right now. Thank you. And thank you, Warren. Everything that Rick said, ditto. Your financial skills are a great add to this board. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Judy?
Yes, I could not vote for this loan, knowing that everything ASCA has would be collateral for it, because God forbid should something happen, there would be no more ASCA. So I just can't do it. If we have to tighten our belt in other manner, then that's what we need to do. But for myself, I could not vote for this loan. Thank you.
Very good. Judy, thank you, Judy. Jean?
Yeah, I will go with whatever Warren recommends because along with Rick, I think that he's got some financial knowledge that is a great benefit to ASCA, and that and I'm willing to follow his advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Jan?
The amount of collateral that they're asking for is more than the loan, and so I could not support that kind of decision for ASCA. Really thank Warren for putting all the numbers together. That's going to make that an easy decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Gina?
Yeah, I, excuse me, pretty much agree with everybody. For a while, I was all for the loan, but worried about the collateral that we had to put up. I feel a little bit more comfortable now knowing that, you know, our financial looks good at least through December, and we can start the year out looking pretty good, and we have a backup if we need to, you know, tighten our belt, we can do that. So, and yeah, Warren, thank you for your input. It makes our financial decisions so much easier. So I'm not for this loan now either. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Liz, Liz, can I step in just real quick? Sorry,
yes,
Gina.
Of course.
So I did just want to make clear, you were saying, you know, you feel more comfortable since I gave the information about we'll make it through December and so on. But I don't want to put the word good on our financials in any way. It's going to be tough. It's going to hurt. It's going to look bad, but we can do it. We can withstand it based on the projections that we've made. So I just want to make that clear. It's not good, but it's doable.
Okay, but it's doable. That works for me. Thank you.
All right, Denise?
I agree that because ASCA doesn't have to give up any assets or anything like that, I think it's a great idea to not use that loan. We're a little and to continue on as we are, especially since Warren is confident that things are doable. I would agree. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, Warren, because you know, like some others here on the board, I was initially okay with it, but now that, you know, and that's why I asked you the question, if, you know, ASCA can make it through the year, and by that I meant, you know, make it, not be on the, you know, profit side or anything like that. Just make it through this year, and we may have to make decisions that you know, mean that we have to tighten our belts in some other ways at some point. But I think now I agree that it would be best not to tie ASCA up in this loan. It looks good, like Warren said, it looks good, you know, as far as, you know, having only a 2.75% interest rate and a 30-year loan. It will only be $600 and some that we start paying a year after. Those look good, but then when you look at the terms, it's not that great. It's not as great as it looks on the surface. So so I agree. I do, however, think that since we voted on this, we need to make a motion to rescind, you know, the application on this loan. And so what I'll do if it passes is that I will just I don't think there's a way for me to withdraw the application on the website. And if I can't find a way to do that, then I'll just let it go, because we technically have I think 2 months to go forward with it, although they are trying to hurry us up with it. So anyway, I think that we need a motion.
Oh, Liz, I think I made the last motion, but I think I can make this one. You know, given the constraints involved with getting the SBA loan, I would move that we either terminate the procedure or allow it to lapse Yeah, I think that's it.
This is Gina. I will second it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Warren, seconded by Gina, to allow the application to either lapse or terminate it, the application for the SBA loan. Any further discussion? All right, I'm calling for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. I will keep you informed when I get whatever notices or whatever. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so, and thank you so much, Warren, because you made the whole panorama, a lot clearer for all of us. So thank you so much.
I'm glad it was helpful.
Yes, thank you. And so our last item on the agenda is a discussion on the 2020 program finance budgets. Unfortunately, the budgets didn't all get to us in time for the directors to really look at them closely. And so we are going to leave the discussion for our next meeting. And so that means that today's open session is over. So I would like to thank everybody and thank the membership for listening in. Thank you everyone here on the board for a productive meeting. Good night.
Thank you, Liz.
Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks,
Yes,
Liz.
good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.